Is it possible to use an S-Corp to stick it to the man? Meaning, is it possible to use an S-Corp to avoid certain legal responsibilities? Specifically, I'm talking about child support. I've received this question a lot in the past. We've had the discussion in comments, never made a video on it, but recently, apparently there's, thanks to social media, there's been a video that has surfaced with a young man explaining how he uses an S-Corp to avoid paying a lot of child support, right? He makes a lot of money, but he pays very little in child support because the way the S-Corp is structured. And I get it, right? Some of the things he said I can agree with, but like many things on social media, there was a lot that was left out. So let's go ahead, watch this video together, and I'm going to break down what is missing because I don't want you to get caught up out there, right? Like that's my job as your favorite uncle cousin is to make sure you don't get caught up. So let's watch this video.
Other kids and stuff.
Yeah, I'm on child support.
How was that?
It's great. I pay myself. So, like I said, I'm Kevin Ford. So at the end of the day, it's just about this. It's all about knowing things.
Agreed.
One thing I suggest everybody that's watching Stay Cheese, I'm going to drop some free game on y'all. If you are in business, it's better to have an asset lawyer and get asset protection. Also,
agree with that.
you want to get an S corporation, not just the LLC, but a corporation, because the corporation separates you from your personal self.
That's
so
true.
if you get paid from your corporation, what that mean? You pay yourself. So let's say if a girl tell me that she gonna get all this money from me, and I say, you know what? I just want to make $500 a week. Judge, you need my check stubs?
And here's where things get interesting.
How much is that a month? $2,000? Baby, I got more kids too. I'm on child support, so you gonna get what you can too out of it. Do you want to go that route, baby girl? Or you want to keep getting these racks?
Well, so a lot of things you say, a lot of things I agree, right? Definitely if you're in business, you definitely want to protect your assets, right? Make sure you get a asset protection lawyer. Understand what's being said. Understand that even though, lawyers get paid well to kind of move things around and transmute assets and things like that, there's still tax consequences involved in that. So make sure you understand everything. So with that being said, I am going to share my screen with you. I'm gonna do some hand drawing on my little trusty Remarkable here. Let me get the screen set up so we can kind of break down what was said and I can show you what was missing. All right, let's break it down. So here we are. Now, again, y'all forgive my handwriting, but he said he has an S-Corp, right? So let's put that at the top because that's true. You get an S-Corp. One thing he said that is true is that an S-Corp will separate you from your business, all right? But, not everybody needs an S-Corp. There's a certain time and place when an S-Corp makes sense. But let's just say you're where he's at, right? I'm assuming, which is a lot of money. So we have an S-Corp. And as he said, with an S-Corp, he gets to pay himself a W-2, or he gets to pay himself weekly at $500. That's what he said. He's going to pay himself $500 a week, which comes out to about $2,000 a month. Now, here's where I say things are left out. The law says in order to pay yourself, the amount that you pay yourself has to be reasonable. Reasonable meaning that if his S-Corp is making, I don't know, let's just say $1 million a year, and that's what the gross income is $500 a week reasonable, right? Is that on par to what somebody who runs a $1 million S corporation, is that the amount that they really take home, right? Now, being transparent, the IRS has not clearly defined what reasonable wage is, but don't get it twisted. If this ever ends up in court, they are going to use a myriad of factors to determine if somebody has a $1 million corporation, is $2,400. I'm sorry, is $2,000 a month really on par with the CEO of $1 million company, right? That's the first thing I really want us to understand. If we're going to go this route and try to stick it to the man and do things, we'll find loopholes. We got to understand everything. $2,000 a month may not be reasonable salary for a company that's making $1 million a year, right? So if that's the case and it ends up in the court, the IRS is going to say that is too low. We need to increase it. One thing, we'll start there. That's the first thing to keep in mind. The second thing I want us to keep in mind is this scenario would work, right? Paying yourself $500 a week if the judge didn't care about looking at the tax return. Like the courts here in California, they want to see the tax return, not just the pay stub, the tax return. And here's where I say that things get interesting because yes, as an S-Corp, you pay yourself the $500 a week, but that amount in total is going to be reported on your personal 1040, okay? And here's something else that got completely left out. When you are an S-Corp holder, yes, you pay yourself this $500 a week right here, but then you also have to report the remaining balance, which is your net profits from the S-Corp, is going to be reported on a K-1. And that K-1 also is going to be reported on your 1040. So yes, you can pay yourself $500. And again, if you're in a state or jurisdiction where that's all the judge wants to see, then the only thing you're going to have to worry about is this $500 considered a reasonable wage or not? However, if you're in a state like California and they want to look at the tax returns, you're screwed. Here's why. Because let's say, for example, of this $1 million, we wrote half of it off, right? So we only was left with $500,000 gross profit for the year. Now, we paid ourselves $500 a week, which comes up to $2,000 a month. So that's $24,000 in a year, right? So we're going to subtract $24,000 from that, leaving us $476,000 to report on the K-1, right? This is going to go on the K-1, which again is going to be reported on your 1040. So if they're asking for the tax return, yes, they're going to see that you pay yourself $500 a week, which is only $24,000 a year on the W-2 side, but from the K-1 on your 1040 is also going to be an additional $476,000 worth of income. And if they are basing child support off the total amount that you're making annually, you can't hide. You can't hide because the S-Corp gives a K-1. It's impossible, right? So don't get caught up thinking that S-Corp is going to somehow stick it to the man, because they completely failed to mention this K-1 that has to be reported on your 1040, okay, which is going to report this $476,000 additional dollars. So I say all of that to say this. One of two things happens in this scenario. Either A, you're not making as much money as you claim you are, because a reasonable salary at $2,000 a month would indicate that the corporation is low earning. That's the only way that would be recognized in the courts, in the legal system. Or two, like I said, you're in a jurisdiction where they don't look at the tax return. Because if that's the case, then the only thing you're risking is saying, yeah, even though I have $1 million corporation, I only get paid as the owner of this corporation, because again, you are the owner. I mean, yeah, it separates the two, but you still are the owner of the CEO, the president, the person responsible for managing this corporation. You are the owner of, and so therefore you have to pay yourself that reasonable salary. So if you're in the courts where they not looking at the tax return, sure, easy, all day long, lie and tell them you only make a certain amount of money. But if you're in a state like California and they want to see that tax return, Yeah, no, buddy. That K1 gonna kick in and they gonna see that additional income, and that's what it's going to be based off of. All right, family. So yes, there you have it. Again, what the young man said made sense. A lot of things that's possible as an S-Corp. Yes, you can pay yourself. However, you just a reminder, you have to make sure that the amount you pay yourself is reasonable. Okay. But also, as you saw, don't forget about the K1. If you are having a very profitable year and your business is doing well, those profits are going to still be shown on the tax return. So there is no hiding of the money. Okay. If we look at it in its totality, we look at the larger picture, you can't hide the money because the K1 is going to report what you're not reporting on your W-2, and it's still all going to come together on your 1040. Sorry, folks. Yeah. Alrighty, family, and there you have it, another truth bomb from your favorite Uncle Cousin. But you know me, it's my goal to make sure that if you're going to do something, you know everything so you can do it right and be prepared for what's coming. As always, know that I love you and I appreciate you being here. And let me know. I would love to know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know. Hopefully you're not trying this. And let me say this before I go, right? I understand things happen, but the best thing that a man can do, and even a woman financially, is to just make sure you have a child by the right person. I'm gonna just leave that out there, right? Like for both men and women, the best thing you can do is just have a child by the right person, right? Just all right. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'll let y'all later.
Perfect.